And now your host, Shelly Sanders.
Hello, 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 and again, welcome to Conversations with Shelly. Wow, you guys are not going to believe the time that we have had here today trying to get this broadcast to you, but we are determined in the spirit of Shelly. You know, she never gives up. She's very persistent, and she perseveres through all of that. So we're going to go ahead and do exactly what Shelly would do, push through this thing, and we hope we've worked out all of the kinks for you guys. Whatever, we have an awesome, awesome show lined up for you today. Want you to go ahead and like and share and subscribe. We're here also not only on Facebook Live now, but also on YouTube Live as well, streaming on your YouTube platform. So go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully we're coming through pretty good out there. Hopefully we have no more technical difficulties at all. No more, no more, no more. Everybody say no more. No more. And we're going to push through this show. We've got some excellent artists here for you today as we begin our artistic expressions season as far as here on Conversations with Shelly for the next 5 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. We're going to be exploring artistic expressions in many different ways, many different techniques, all different types of people that are going to come through this show, musicians, poets, even chefs. I mean, that's their art, DJs, spoken word artists, all types of people, what they consider an art to them. But today, we have some excellent, awesome established painters that are here today, artists, however they like to be called, but they also have their hands in so many other things that I read their bios, and you're going to hear their bios as well of all the things that they've put their hands to do, and I'm excited to hear their stories as far as this origin, how they begin, how they got started, where they're trying to go with it, to where they are now. So we just want you to sit back, like, subscribe, and share, like, subscribe, and share, like, subscribe, and share. SCWC, share Conversations with Shelly here on Facebook Live, but also on your YouTube channel as well. And I hope the production team is putting up how they can find us on YouTube. That's Soul Cafe RM. Soul Cafe RM. Type that in the search engine on YouTube, and you will pretty much see us popping up there live right about now, real time. Soul Cafe RM. But I want you to look at the picture on the screen. I want you to look at that picture. Look at it real close, really close. And I want you to tell me what you see. I want you to look very, you can look very deeply into it. If you have that kind of, that eye where you can look at something and glance at it and you can see so many things. People are quick with it like that and their minds function like that. Go ahead and look at it. But I want you to look and also comment in the comment section. What do you see in this picture? This is a picture from the artist Jean-Claude Dumas. He's a Haitian artist. It's one of my favorite pictures and artists because I like as far as the Caribbean, and I like it. Just gives me peace when I look at the pictures when I'm in my office at home and I'm stressing about things. I mean, I have the pictures sit there posted right on my screen, in front of my screen, should I say. And it just sits there, whatever. When my mind gets stressed out, I just look at it because it seems like it takes me there. I can feel the breeze. I can look at the beautiful colors. I can hear the children playing, and it just brings me to a calm. So look at that picture. Look at that picture right there. Tell me what you see. And I want you to name that picture. Title that picture. I know the artists most times they title their pictures. I call them name their babies. So I want you to title that picture as far as what you would title that picture based off of what you see on the screen. Look, we're going to go ahead and get started and jump right in because we've wasted enough of their time. They've been sitting here patiently, and I'm so thankful for their patience. I mean, sometimes you can have guests, as was spoken of, that can be very unruly. And look, I'm tired of this. I'm ready to go. I'm hungry. I got other appointments to make. Y'all holding me up, all this other stuff. But they have been so gracious in being patient with us, and we appreciate it here on Conversations with Shelly. We appreciate them to the most for all that they have done in sitting here and waiting with us. First of all, we're going to go ahead and introduce. We're not going to bring her up yet. We're going to bring her up in a minute when I read her bio, because it's a very interesting bio. But we're going to go ahead and begin to bring up our guests. They are here. They've been waiting patiently, and we are ready for them to come and tell us all about themselves, what they're doing, the wonderful things that they're doing, the things that they have done, their exploits, their adventures, all of that, whatever, and what they want to share with you. I mean, there's so many things. Our production teams, I want you to put up as far as how their contact information. We're going to have that available for you. And if you want to purchase, right? I mean, that's first and foremost, definitely. First and foremost, we have our artsy people out there that love art. I mean, I love art. I just like how you guys you can just, that creative mind. I love it. I love it. It's how you put it all together. But we're going to go ahead and get started as soon as I see where the production team, there we go, has placed their bios right here. Conversations with Shelly. Continue to like and share. Like and share. Check this out. In 2017, Pretty Dope relocated to Riverview, Florida from Sacramento, California, all the way from the West Coast, quickly making a name for herself in the Tampa Bay area music scene as a makeup artist, in photography, wardrobe, and hairstylist, painter, and body artist. Her professional resume includes services rendered to artists such as DC Youngfly. Who's that? I don't know who that is. Who's that? Yeah, I do. DC Youngfly, Tierra Mari, Fresh P, Mike Twice, I think that's Twice, Talisha the Poet, Soul Dancer V, and a host of others. Man, that's a heck of a resume. The name Pretty Dope was inspired, check this out, y'all, was inspired by her fans while operating under her former creative name, The Hair Maverick. Boy, anybody that's a maverick of something, my God, that means you doing it. A maverick. Listen, as she developed her talents in global artistry, fans would often refer to her work as, check this out, Pretty Dope. I like that. Inspiring the adoption to represent her global artistry in makeup, film, painting, singing, and storytelling. The Pretty Dope brand is representative of her vast experience in the visual and creative arts, which led to being co-founder of Create and Chill, founder of the hit video podcast, Can You Keep It 100? Highly sought after hair and makeup artist, body artist, actress, painter, and erotica author. I love me some books now. Hey, I'm about to check that out. Listen, I want you all to give a great conversation with Shelly welcome, and a Soul Cafe welcome, and a Facebook and YouTube welcome to our guest. Come on, Pretty Dope Artistry. Come on, y'all go ahead. Clap it up. Make sure she's on. All right, listen, we are so glad to have you here with us today. Go ahead and tell just a little bit about yourself, just a little bit, because we're going to get into a whole lot of other stuff, but I want you, and I thank you for waiting so patiently.
Absolutely.
I do. You're so gracious.
No problem.
And waited so patiently for us. This never happens.
That's all right.
And probably won't ever happen again.
That's all
So
right.
I just realized that this is what's going to be a pretty dope show. I'll just say it like that. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I am Pretty Dope. I am 29 from California. I started to paint in 2017. I am self-taught. I've just kind of picked up the brush one day, wanting to express myself in a more positive light instead of being destructive.
Okay.
I chose to pick up the brush and paint. And as a makeup artist, I'm familiar with the face and the shapes and all of that. So it came as a natural talent, as most of my gifts have been. So.
All right. Natural talent. So you were doing the makeup and all that. So I can see how that would be like a good transition, a nice segue into the art, painting and what you do, because I mean they used to say, what they used to call women, they're painted up faces, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, and I think they're using a negative connotation, but you flip that script, right, yes. Make that into a positive thing as far as so. We're so glad to have you here with us. Pretty dope, and I like that name. Next, we have, because we got somebody here with
Yes, we
you.
do.
We got somebody out here. We got another artist here with you. Check this out. He's a native of southeastern Wisconsin. Wow, all the way from Cheeseland. Watch this. But currently residing in Tampa Bay, Florida. Chris has been involved in art shows, video production. Man, all y'all doing all this stuff other than just, wow. Production, fashion shows, live painting events, and more. Watch this. As early as elementary school, Chris has always had a love for drawing, creating characters from his imagination, and recreating characters from his favorite shows, including Pokemon and Dragon Ball. Is that Z or just Dragon Ball? Is there any A, B, C's, or D Dragon Balls? I'm just asking. I'm tripping. Anyway, but watch this. As a contemporary and abstract artist, Chris particularly likes working with acrylic while experimenting with different mediums such as spray paint, pastels, and charcoal. His artistic inspirations include, listen to this, Kerry James, Marshall, Leonardo da Vinci. How many of y'all know? Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci. And Hebrew, is that Hebrew Brantley? All right, Hebrew Brantley. With an early interest in music, Chris graduated from Full Sail University in 2013. Check that out. As a recording engineer. That's awesome. That's hot, man. Watch this. It wasn't until his last year of college when Chris decided to transition from his love of writing and producing music to expanding his creative take on clothing design. Man, clothing design? As soon after, that's when his passion for painting blossomed. I want y'all to give a wonderful, wonderful welcome to our boy all the way from Wisconsin, now living here in Tampa Bay, Florida. Brother Chris, how are you, man? How are you? Doing excellent. Again, I want to apologize, first of all, but again, thank you for being so gracious and being patient. Man, you guys just sat there and chilled like it was nothing, having cross conversations and everything, talking about eyelashes and all kind of other stuff and makeup and everything else. And I loved it or whatever. And it's very rare that you get guests that have been here and waited for this long, looking at us work out all these technical difficulties and just patience. So we just thank you. Shelly thanks you for just hanging out with us for a while. And we're not going to try to keep you long or whatever. We've been here long enough with us and we appreciate it. But we want to go ahead and jump into things. Our audience, our Facebook audience, our YouTube audience, again, like and share. Go ahead and start preparing your questions for the artists as they're here. Go ahead and start preparing. This is the beginning, the first show of our series as far as How Great Thou Art. That's what we've tagged this series, How Great Thou Art. And first out of the box, you guys consider yourselves great?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Every day.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So then we ain't misrepresenting nothing here
Not
today
at
on
all.
Conversation with Shelly. I like that. You've got to I like self-glossing sometime. Hey, I gotta do it. So listen, let's go ahead and jump right in to just finding out about you guys. How you guys operate. I don't want to ask the little mundane, dull questions. I know you get asked all these questions all the time. What's your inspiration and all that stuff like that? I mean, I don't know if y'all get tired of those questions or not. I don't know.
They're relevant.
They're relevant? Well, then that's good. I'm going to get, what was your inspiration? No, I'm kidding. But actually, what really got you into, you said as far as the makeup situation or whatever, but at what age did you realize as far as, because like I just shared with you, my daughter, she does that, and she was doing it at a very young age, like making clothes and, doing makeup and stuff like that, and now she does it.
Yes.
At what age did you realize, because to me, how much passion has to be involved in it as far as for more so than just skill? It was just your passion for it, or?
So I started braiding hair at the age of 9.
Okay.
I braided my brother's football team's hair. I was still in elementary school. They would call my mom to schedule their appointments, and I'd get off from school, and I would be doing hair.
Were you getting paid?
I was.
Okay,
absolutely,
all right.
absolutely.
Okay, entrepreneur
Of
at
course,
9. All right.
The hustle had to start somewhere, So, so I was doing hair to start out, and from there, I've art has always been somewhere nearby.
Okay.
I always would draw. I would doodle all the time. I'd get in trouble for doodling in
Okay.
on my homework, but I had a talent for it. And from there, I always would act. I would do little skits and, make my friends have to go along with stories that I would create, and we'd have to act them out. But yeah, it was always something that inspired me, being the people around me.
Okay.
So, and that kind of led over into my painting. So, life happens, of course, and the things that relate us all to each other is what inspires me to paint. I have one of my favorite paintings that I've done. It's a grandmother holding a baby, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Our grandmothers, not that they all raised us, but they definitely played key parts in our upbringing, and I wanted to capture that moment. I was very close with my grandmother. She passed away in 2008, but I was her only granddaughter and the youngest, so I was very, very close to her. She taught me how to cook. I'm left-handed. She was artsy. She was very sassy, and I just feel like she is part of my artistry, so I continue to do it.
All right. Inspiration from Grammy. All right. That's what's up. Chris, talk to us, man. What got you here? I mean, come on. What got you here? Especially graduating from Full Sail engineering. I mean, let's go. What got you here to art?
Well, basically, I started early, man. I was one of those kids that always played video games, always in front of the TV, Saturday morning watching cartoons. I just fell in love with that whole aspect of like cartoons, drawing, and things like that. Thinking of my own characters and just what can I do or what can I put out into this world. So I mean, as I grew up, like a lot of young African American boys, we want to be athletes, rappers, and things like that. So I gained I transitioned into like music, and I gained a love for like music. So I started doing music and things, producing, rapping, writing poetry, and things like that. And art is so heavily involved into music as well, like visual art. So I found out early on, like I was doing my cover art for my mixtapes or things that I was dropping.
Okay.
So, I mean, as time went on, I just kept doing my thing, and eventually got introduced to art, and it just took off from there, man. Like, I fell in love with it. As soon as I picked up the paintbrush and started playing with paint and everything like that, it just felt right. It felt like it was a place that I was supposed to be, and I just been punching it ever since, and
I get that.
things just starting to work out, like out of nowhere. It just feels right.
I
just
get
keep going
that.
with it until it don't feel right no more. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
You said something interesting. It just felt like that's the place where you were supposed to be. Mutual. So it's just you just feel it's amazing when you're doing something and you get that. You get to that place to where, regardless of everything else that I'm doing, regardless of everything else that comes my way, I know this is home for me. This is like I'm good at this. I'm comfortable in it. I mean, it's kind of like as far as when if you learn a skill. I mean, because there's learned things and then there's just stuff that's just natural to you. You know what I'm saying? And it just felt natural to you. It just felt.
I feel like there's a purpose in everything we do, of course. And I feel like what got me to the canvas, I was destined to get to the canvas.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
okay.
And then there would be times where, like, there's some paintings, the ones that people relate to the most, those are the ones that I feel like I'm not even the one doing it. Like, it's almost like I'm like,
Wow.
like I'm just tapped in that
Wow.
much. Like, people will come in and they just see like the sweat and they're just like, yo, like what's going on? There's an essence in the air. And when it's done, it's like, yeah, I don't know where that just came from, but it was on its way and it had to come through me. So, yeah.
Wow. The essence is in the air. See, when you said that, I'm like, I can write their picture like you guys, man. Y'all are in there, y'all are creating, and lab, as you
Yeah.
say, a lab, and you guys are in there and you're doing your thing. And let me ask you, I mean, because we talked about as far as what inspired you to get into it, and when did you get into it and things of that nature. But let's talk about pieces. Let's talk about pieces. I mean, where do they come from as far as in your mindset? Because I know sometimes you may do you just out of your mind just create something, and not only if you're looking at something and you recreate it, but I mean, do you create? I mean,
So
like,
there's a few different ways.
okay,
I have the cool stuff that I can
okay,
do. I'm like, okay, I see something. I'm like, ooh, I'm inspired. You know, like I could paint that. That looks cool. Those things are people. They just like those things. The
okay,
things that people feel,
mm,
those are things that maybe are not the easiest to get to the canvas for me.
okay,
Like one of my most recent pieces, I started that piece maybe 9 months ago, and I sketched it out, and I was like, you know, and I just put it off to the side, and the plethora of others that
mm,
are the same. But as an artist, you'll know that you'll start one, and maybe like it'll just be a spark, and you don't really know where it's going, and then you'll come back to it once you get that the fuel behind it or whatever was actually supposed to come from it.
mm,
Once I finally painted this piece, the emotion required, the investment of like true dedication to this piece, you'll feel it. Just the details of it. You can't just be like, oh, that would be a cool thing to do. It's not about being cool. It's really about like pouring your soul and putting what you feel, because what you feel, other people are going to feel. And it doesn't even have to be about anyone else. As long as you feel it, it relates to you.
mm,
It's for someone else.
okay,
Our gifts are not for us. Our
that's
gifts
right,
are for others.
that's
So
right,
we may feel it, but some people don't know how to communicate it.
mm,
They may not be able to visualize it. So we have to, as artists, it's our responsibility to bring them to life. And that particular piece, it's heavy, but at the same time, necessary.
okay. And you've been working on it for how long? Nine
I
months,
actually did it in 3 days,
3 days,
but I started it 9 months
9 months
prior.
prior.
And pandemic happened,
Mm,
and I had a lot of time to sit with self, reflect with self,
okay.
deal with self,
Mm-hmm.
and I really understand why it took so long. And like I said, everything happens for a reason, and timing is perfect. Even though it feels late, it was on time.
Okay.
So
That's cool. Listen, because when you were speaking and you were saying that, and Chris, I want you to answer as well. It just brought to mind that there's got to be a process behind the passion,
hmm
as far as, because we can be as passionate as we want to about something, but there has to be some type of process to bring that, to let that manifest, as far as for people to visualize or to see or to appreciate.
had I done it too soon, it wouldn't have hit the same.
Okay, cool, cool. Chris, talk to us, man. I mean, in the lab, you in the lab. What's going on in the lab, man? And you know that sweating and I mean, are you with the? I mean, creation or recreations? I mean, give us how that process works for you.
Well, just to be straightforward, I primarily create through self-experience.
So, okay,
That's my lane.
okay,
I grew up, with a lot of uncles, a lot of
okay.
male influence, negative, most negative,
Most
not
negative.
too much positive. A lot of that fourth dimension stuff, man.
Okay.
The dark side of, like America and things like that. So I paint a lot of experience pieces, a lot of pain, a lot of happiness
Mm.
here and there, a little spurts of happiness. But I like the story tell. I have pieces that express like certain situations one
Mhm.
might go through, family
Okay.
situations or things like that. Just things like growing up in a single parent home with
Okay.
different siblings from different parents and things like that. That it's a lot of inner dealings or a lot of psychological things that go on in those environments. And with me, I always feel like I step outside of myself every now and then, and I look like I made it out in a sense, because now I'm raising my own children, and I get to have these conversations with my own children about what routes and things to take, or give them certain advice that I didn't have.
Mm.
So I like to express that through my art. As far as I have a piece called like "Pain Is Not Love,"
Mm.
and the meaning behind that is pretty much like you don't have to always accept pain, because a lot of us has been we've been taught that through pain one may love us. As far as relationships, family members, you don't have to endure pain just to feel like someone loves you.
Mm.
You don't have to, that butt whooping that you got when you was a kid. You probably didn't need that. Maybe you just needed a conversation to do better.
Mm-hmm.
But as a people, we take those routes. So conversation pieces. That's the route that I like to go.
Conversation
Like paintings
pieces.
that when people see them, it sparks conversation.
Cool. I like that because I'm looking at one now and I need to have a conversation about it. It makes me want to have a conversation about it. But awesome. So let me ask you this question then. I mean, speaking as far as because you spoke in references your grandmother and her influence. You spoke in far as of your upbringing, all your uncles, and mostly male influence, negative as you say. How much of what you guys do and create therapeutic to you?
It is a therapy. The process is the therapy, which is why sometimes going is not what you want to do.
Okay.
Like, because you're really dealing with yourself. You're sitting
Wow.
with yourself. You're a lot of my pieces are reflections. I look at my pieces and I'm like, whoa, I'm thinking I'm just making some art. Like you're really not understanding what you're doing. My art has come back and talked to me so many times, and I'm like, yo, down to my second piece that I ever painted was of Tupac, When the Road is Hard, Never Give Up. And I like people always are going through something. But I mean, when it gets to those heavy times, you just glance around and you look and your eyes right there and you're like, yo, right. And then you'll play the song and you're like, right. Like
Wow.
it's just their signature like stamps of like my whys, how, what got me here, what, am I continuing these patterns? Like there's so much of learning yourself and learning life that I wouldn't have gotten had I not made it to the canvas. I maybe have thought of it, but to see it, to really touch it, know it, and create it, even being in the process, it's like being in the process of something happening that you're not even aware of what you're doing until it's done, and you're like,
Wow.
Wow. There's plenty of times my parents have sat back and they're like, I'm like,
Okay.
like that. It's just that's all you can say.
Okay.
It speaks for itself, but it's really just like,
Wow. Okay. Chris?
There is the therapeutic process for me is it would have to be more so after the work is done and I share it with the world.
Okay.
So for me, it's that human connection. It's me sharing stories with the person who's looking at my art or who's been triggered by my art in some type of way. I mean, it's therapeutic for sure when I'm in the lab and I'm putting it together and I get to connect with the piece, but there's no greater feeling for me therapeutically when I share it and I'm connecting with a person. And we get to touch so many levels, and you get it's the experience side of it, because at that point, you might be talking to a person who was raised different than you, and they may have been going through something similar that what this piece is trying to portray. And you're like, dang, well, I thought my experience was the only way that you can even reach this level. And they may give off like, nah, I've been there. I've felt that, and I'm of a different race or a different class or a different whatever. And that's what works for me. That's what keeps it going. So that's the therapeutic high for me, man. It's that the human connection.
When I say team me, what do you think of? Because, I mean, you guys are artists. I write, and I just give you an example as far as I write. I mean, all types of stuff. I write plays, all kind of stuff like that, but also I write. And it's like when I'm in the lab, so to speak, it's just me. and I can't. I either got to be pleased with what I'm doing, or get to the point to where I'm pleased with what I'm doing.
Right.
Because I'm not going to be dissatisfied with what I'm doing.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, I just got to keep it going until it's to my liking. So that's why I say team me. I mean, the struggle is like, I don't have anybody. I don't know if you guys, I don't know how you guys do it or not. Do you bring outside influences in as far as?
So I feel like, perfection is definitely a moving target.
Okay.
And for myself, I can be satisfied with something. But when you're looking at, like with portraits I lucked up on. I don't know. I'm very into detail about features, especially when I'm doing makeup for other people. I am responsible for someone's appearance. So if it looks good, just because it looks good to me, doesn't mean it feels good to them. So I have to be aware of all those minor things that someone might be like, their nostril is too big on this side, or like my eye doesn't look like that. Like those things are very critical. So I'm more so like, I'm hard on myself about it, but at the same time, I don't put too much pressure. If it's something that I'm doing for someone else, absolutely the pressure is on.
Okay.
Doing it for self, you can't tell me nothing about what I got going on.
All right. That's what's up.
So that's really what that is.
Okay.
Outside influence, I've grown to learn that I'm terrible with it. It doesn't work for me. I'm one of those people, when I create, I like to be in my own secluded space with my own thoughts. Even when I do commission pieces, and I wrecked myself, like when I first started doing paintings and things for other people, because I would allow other people to tell me exactly what they want and like paint these pictures of how they envision it. And I would always like beat myself up because I'm like, it's not perfect to their liking. And it took a while for me to understand that I'll never be able to create a piece that's in your mind. I never be able to do that. So I've grown to understand that when I do commission pieces, I have to remove the ceiling over my head. So I get that, I throw that out there first. Okay, so I can create a piece for you, but you're gonna have to let me create the piece for you.
Correct.
You can. I want some red in there, some green in there. I'll allow all of that. But the moment you try to construct the actual piece,
Yes or no?
I gotta stop you right there. And you either gonna let me do the piece, and it comes out to my liking. Of course, you have to like it in the end, but that's the risk you take when you collab with different artists and things like that. But the influence, man, it can wreck you.
Like, I'm a painter, not a printer.
That's
Okay?
it. It can wreck you, man.
Okay.
Especially if you're a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I'm a perfectionist at art, and I'm like, if I don't get it right to their liking, like, and I've just grown to like refrain from that.
For a little while I had stopped doing commissions because I had taken 2 commissions and it was like, I don't like this. I'm like, wow. Okay, so I'm not gonna put the pressure on myself. Okay, I know that when I create, people like what I create, but when people give me like a structure, a box, I'm not a box person. I'm gonna be all about that box.
Okay.
Like I cannot be in a box. You liked what I was doing when you asked me to do it, and now all of a sudden you have an opinion. You do it.
That's it.
Okay.
It comes off that way. It does come. It comes off like it's like, oh, like this is a little high strung, but it's really not, because your art. I learned that at first I thought that I found something to make more money off of, right? Like, oh, art, I can make plenty of money. Like, people are just gonna. Okay, so it's more of like.
So the starving artist thing is real. Okay.
You literally stress yourself to do things, and like even when people, they might pay for a painting, and it's just something that's not pulling you to it. I get pulled to the canvas because there's something that in my spirit or like in my heart that I want to express. Somebody wants me to paint their grandma. I'll paint Granny, but I just feel like, like what if Granny don't look like Granny to you that you do to me? And half the time you'll get like things that, maybe the picture isn't the best quality, and you still want to deliver, but people see how they remember them or how they feel about them, and then if you do it wrong, it's like the end of the world. And I just don't, that pressure, wow, that's a heavy pressure.
Well, I'm glad y'all are discussing that, because I did want to ask you. Good or bad, what are some of the most memorable comments that anyone has made about your paintings? Good or bad?
for. It's actually a good one.
Okay.
I did a commission
Great,
painting
great.
for a guy that actually a collector of my work now currently that I met at an art show, and he bought a piece from me initially, and then we connected to do another piece for him and his sons, and took about a month and a half to do it. And when I went to go drop the painting off, he just got out of a marriage or something like that, him and his wife split or separated. So when I went to go drop the painting off, we unwrapped it and things. His boys had seen it was a painting of him and his boys. And the boys they pointed at the paint like, yo, that's me, that's dad. So I was like, okay, that's dope. That's pretty cool, I like that. But it wasn't until he called his wife and got her on the phone, and he had her on FaceTime, and he showed her the painting, and she just broke down crying over the phone on FaceTime. So at first I was like, whoa, like, is it bad? Like, what's going on? And when she got herself together, come to find out that she sent him a picture of, like, it was like an old man with like his two sons, and the man was giving pieces of himself to the kids. And she said that painting always reminded her of how her husband interacted with their children, because he loved them so much. And she just couldn't believe that I created this piece that was going to hang up in their home of her husband and her children. Like, it was actually them. The picture that she loved and thought about her husband and her children, I actually was able to create that moment, and they were able to hang that moment up in their home. And like, that experience, to feel that, and with it being so genuine, I really felt like, again, like, this is where I'm supposed to be, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this moment is like that.
That moment.
Yes.
Wow.
I have like a good and a bad. So there was actually, stories, but I had seen a story on Facebook of where I used to live in Illinois. It's ranked number 2 of the most impoverished cities of America, Peoria, Illinois. And so there, there's a lot of murder, and, you typically tend to know these people because it is such a small town. I was scrolling through my feed, and I see that there was a murder that happened, and the young lady that was killed had a 1-year-old daughter at the time, and her child's father had been killed before the child was born. So it was, it was pretty heavy.
Right.
And I know that art heals, and so I took it upon myself to create a picture of the baby with both of her parents as angels.
Okay.
And I have the ability to merge pictures together with my paintings, and I did that. And when I posted it, it instantly went viral, and I'm like, oh, okay. And so I wanted to get it to the family. And so when her mom saw it, her mom was just overly grateful. I mean, it was intense, but it was something that I felt like, that's dope that I even have the ability to do that for someone.
Cool.
And for the little girl, even though, she may not remember her parents physically, but at least she'll always have something to have, at least a family portrait. That's something that I feel like everyone deserves. And so that for me was it was emotional, but at the same time, it was like I was just grateful that I was even capable to give that to them. And then the other side of it, I did a painting. I had started my painting of Nipsey Hussle, which absolutely it ended up being one of my best paintings like to date. And it was my first time doing a portrait. Now, when I first did it, my sister is one of my toughest critics aside from my dad, but I respect it because she's going to tell me if it looks like that's not him or it is. So when I did it, I'm like, oh, okay, like it really looks good. And I sent it to her, and she's like, I don't know who that is, but she's like, but it ain't Nipsey. And she was like, it looks like Odell Beckham. And I was like, what? So I'm like, okay, go back to the canvas. And so like I tweaked it and like really looked at it. I was like, are you sure? She was like, now that's Nipsey. I was like, okay.
Wow.
So those are helpful. It's helpful to have like extra eyes.
Wow. Okay. So things like that, let me ask you this question. And things like that, does it cause you to second guess, or do you actually pay attention to it, or you just see what you see and this is what I see, this is what it looks like to me, or whatever? regardless of what you're saying. I mean,
No,
whatever. I mean, or because like if you spent like hours and hours on something,
yeah, when
and
you're
then
ready to be
somebody,
done, you'd be like, I do not see what you see.
right? Okay,
but
okay,
but no, like I am one of those people who's like, if she sees it, other
yeah,
people are gonna be
other
like, oh, this
people.
looks nice. And be like, okay, no,
The cute,
let me let me
the
go
cute, not
ahead.
so cute baby.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
yeah, that's
exactly.
okay.
So you just want to get it right because then people have a different respect. They know what you're capable of. You show yourself what you're capable of because it's just like being in the gym. Yeah, I did enough, but did I really
Do
go,
enough,
do what I'm supposed to
right?
do? Is it showing? I feel it, but can you see
Got
it?
it. Got it.
So it's that.
Cool. Chris, you said something as far as you said it was a guy that bought a piece from you and now he's a collector of yours. That's interesting. I wanted to ask you guys, do you have collections or artists that you collect, and are you a part of somebody's collection? I mean, as far as, you say because he bought another piece from you, things of that nature.
I do
So
have people
who
who
like
are like regulars.
regularly, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a few people that's bought multiple pieces from me. I collect art as well.
You collect.
I'm starting to get my collection going of specific artists that I do, whose work I do enjoy. But I'm biased because I like my walls covered in my art.
And your art,
So I don't
okay.
go overboard with it as much as I would want to. But I probably need a mansion to really get myself to where I want to be. Because as far as I'm concerned, my house is gonna be covered in my art.
And my art,
I got you.
like you
Most-
just,
It's gonna be covered in my art.
it really is that. It
That's
really
all
is
right.
that.
That I feel you on that though. I do. I feel you on that one. So cool. So you're a part of people collections, and you have a collection. Favorite artists or whatever. I read in your bio. I'm just curious. It's just for me. I mean, Facebook, y'all, if you want to, and YouTube. Da Vinci. What inspired you about Da Vinci? I'm just curious about that.
I have a deep love for anatomy.
Okay.
I love anatomy, man. I love
Okay.
studying the human body and things like that. I love finding out different things about the human body or just species or whatever in general. I just love anatomy, how things are designed, even down to like building and stuff like that. I'm like
Okay.
that weird person who
Structures
likes the
and
inner
all of that.
workings of like how structures are designed or built and things like that. So once I started to dive deeper into like the arts and things and start to get familiar with different artists, like the older artists and things like that, I had read up on like Da Vinci and how he had a passion for like anatomy and things like that. So it just felt right, and a lot of his work I really enjoyed. Cause I'm like, dang, like some dope stuff, man. Like about how he breaks down the human body or does like mathematical work about how the arm to shoulder length is the same as something else. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy.
Wow.
I really
Okay.
enjoy that type of stuff.
That actually would be of
Okay.
assistance because there's things about my art that I would love to improve, such as hands. I don't know what it is about the hands, but it's just something about hands. It's not easy. It's really not easy. I would rather paint a face detail for detail for detail than to paint some hands. I don't know. I will
Wow.
hide the hands.
You hide the
But it's a thing. It is a thing. But I think that something like studying someone would probably give me some kind of direction. Like I said, I'm self-taught, so a lot of it just comes from what I feel. I haven't taken the time to really study them. I mean, a lot of people have compared me to Nola Darling. Have you seen She's Gotta Have It?
She's got to have it.
Spike
Spike Lee. She's
yeah,
gotta
but
have
the
it.
newer.
Oh no, I didn't
one.
see the newer
Okay.
one, but I know Spike Lee.
It's so
she's gotta
wild
have
to
it.
me. Her room setup very similar to mine. She has like her studio in her room, like
Okay.
kind of
Okay.
situation, and an old barber chair, and I do too because I do hair as well. So it was like it all ties. It's very odd because I'm like somebody's watching me apparently because this is kind of weird, but just like the way that it's an organic style of creating, but she also ended up going to school and stuff. So, she learned. But yeah, I think I'm very open to learning. I love to learn. I love museums and things of that nature. So that's something that also triggers my inspo. So, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
there's no
Cool.
limits on inspo. There's
No
really
limit.
no limit.
Okay. So let me ask. Let's Facebook. Don't forget you can ask questions. Make sure you production team let them know they can put questions in the comment section for our artists. So we gonna. I don't want us to run too much over or whatever, trying to get questions at the last minute, and you guys just are bombarded with questions. One of my favorite paintings from Da Vinci, and you said it is very interesting to me. The Prodigal Son. He did the Prodigal Son painting, and I pulled it up because it's one of my favorite paintings. It was one of my friends who's a pastor. We look like real deep into art and things of that nature, especially when it's biblical art and stuff like that, because we feel that there's so many certain things that they put in the art that's meaning, that has different meanings to it and stuff. And he pointed out something to me that was very, very interesting in that painting. And I was looking at it and I was like, wow. And it's funny because you were just talking about how you're not good with hands or whatever. And you were talking about as far as how he deals with the length of the arm and all the things of that nature. And if you look at that painting, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but if you look at that painting and you look, it's like he has a male hand on the same person. It's a male hand, and then on the other, it's a female hand. And it's just like real, it was just kind of deep to me, kind of like, because he saw that, and I was looking like, okay, man, because that's how you say your mind thinks, and that's how his mind is. It just goes, man, and he sees stuff, and it's like when I don't know if the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain, as those that run by it, they can pretty much like, I'll be able to understand it, even if I just glance at it, I'll be able to understand it, make it plain, and he can do that. So when you said Da Vinci was like one of your favorites, when I saw that, I was like, I'm going to ask him about that. Do you guys put messages or anything in your arts? I mean, that subliminal things or
symbolism?
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I have a few pieces that are I call them the more you look, the more you find, because the more you look, the more you're gonna be like, oh my goodness, and it's just like people literally will start on one part and they're like, whoa, and it's taking you there. Okay. They're all separate pictures in one picture, but it all, of course, is wrapped under like one umbrella kind of thing. I haven't really named this particular one, but it's one of a mother crying, and her tears, it says my baby. And then it's like the police officers sweeping the endless hashtags of, unjust killings under a American flag with the judge holding. So it's very intense and very deep, but it's like the more that you look, because you'll start at one part of it and then you'll end up seeing it all. But yeah.
Y'all listen to music when y'all paint?
I can listen to everything except rap.
Everything except rap. Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, it'll come out angry. It really just depends on the mood. Actually, I've tried setting like I guess the aura, I guess you could say. I put like do the incense and have the aromatherapy, and all of those things do help. That's just like because I do erotic storytelling, so I have to have a candle lit. I have to have like certain vibes, like certain things that are getting you like there, and then you can tap into that that energy that you're looking for.
Erotic storytelling.
Yes.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Now, when you say storytelling, do you write them or
Yes.
do you actually sit around and you tell the story?
That's the goal.
Okay, cool. Because I started writing
2016.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I'm lying. 2012, and it was more for like personal. I'm like, who's gonna want to listen to this?
Okay.
And then because I wasn't around expressive people, I was in Peoria, Illinois. It was more of like hood. Yes.
Okay.
And so it wasn't a lot of I was the person to spark that creative thing. If it wasn't rap, there was nothing else.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So for me to express and be vocal about something that people are more so not trying to talk comfortably about, it was just like, do you hear her? Yes, yes, you do hear me. Yes. But I did get into erotic storytelling. I do represent the community of sexual assault. So for me, it was a way to take my power back. I determine how the story ends.
Okay.
And I'm just creative anyway, so it just like all
Okay.
tied. And it actually, another form of therapy. All of the things that I guess I do as an artist all have helped me not root in trauma. So it's more of like,
Okay.
nope, we're not going to take it and make it that. We're going to make it this. So that's just always how it turns out.
Okay, both of you guys are relatively young. Relatively young. Now, do you feel, I mean, first of all, how long you been painting as far as?
I started around like 2017.
Same.
Both 2017. Okay, so roughly 4 years, 3-4 years. Okay. At this point, as far as in your careers, at this point, as far as in your art, do you feel, first of all, let me ask, what determines what's your best piece? And do you feel that you've created that quote unquote masterpiece yet, or you feel it's yet to come?
I feel it's yet to come because you never know. You just never know. As long as you're listening to spirit, like, I mean, for me personally, as long as you listen to spirit and move when it says move, you're on the money.
Okay.
That'll be your best yet.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I don't think I painted that piece yet. But I, at the same time, I don't know because I don't know what feeling to expect.
Okay.
It's like, this the one. Because with every piece is this the one.
Okay.
This the one, this the one, this the one. And it'll sell.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay.
All right.
But it might not.
That
But
was-
you don't.
I thought that was the one. So I'm like, okay. I don't know.
No facts.
I don't even know how I would be able to determine that if I painted that piece, because I feel like with every piece I get better.
Okay.
So I don't even have a finish line in my view right now. I just want to keep working and keep creating and keep touching people and keep thriving.
Yep.
And so I guess until it's over. I'm in it
Okay.
for the long haul, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, answer this then. Sanity.
Yeah.
She said, yeah. Because I mean, a lot of artists, I've
Yeah.
read the past artists and things. I mean, they're very, some of them are kind of like out there. You know,
Yeah.
you guys seem pretty level-headed and things of that nature. Do you ever reach that insanity point? And I don't mean like insanity, like going crazy, but I mean like that insanity point, like this has got to come together. I'm tripping. Come on. What am I missing? What am I doing? Come on. This ain't it. What is going? You just get that.
You can go ahead, Chris.
I read a lot. I read a lot of psychological books.
Okay.
I'm heavy into like how the human mind and stuff
Yes.
works and how behavior and things work like that. And something that works for me, it works real well for me, is I detach. I completely detach.
Okay.
Every now and then I detach. There's certain points. It may be like after I finish a painting that I've been working on for a few months or something, I make it my business to completely detach from my work. I don't want to think about art. I don't want to pick up a paintbrush. I don't want to see no paint. It's gotten to the point sometimes where if I'm working on a piece or just finished up a piece, I'll turn it around and flip it over. I don't even want to look at it. Like, so I try these little ways to detach. And I've told myself that it's about finding a balance from when you're in it, give it 100, but when it's time to detach, let's shut all the way down to 0. And when it's time to get back into it, let's go back into it. And that balance works for me as a father, as a friend, as everything. It just works. So that's my formula.
Yeah, I was about to say you can use that on.
And literally,
Oh, yeah.
and you learn that as an artist. A lot of artists tend to be empaths, so we kind of like absorb other people's problems, emotions. I a lot of my stories have been other people's stories, like other, people around me. And then I can just kind of like vibe through it and tell it the way that they're maybe not able. They maybe have shown me or told me, but it's just a way that I'm just kind of, I'm able. For me, detaching emotion from painting is very important because you will take it with you. I have to tap into who or what I am painting, and if it's not a light issue to be painting, it can be very heavy and it sits on in you. Like I said, the most recent one that I painted, it's myself now mothering my younger me and my most traumatic experiences of my life. So I had to go to those times in my life to really talk to that little girl, to really deal with that little girl, to mother her, and also understand this talks on different levels of relationship, because as I am all of them, but my mother had to mother all of them. And maybe I was harder on her about how she mothered me, to now have to understand how am I supposed to mother them as me now, right? It goes so deep. You really have to sit and really, really think about, what are you asking somebody to do for you? And you're like, can you even do it for self? So those are parts of me. I go that heavy and that deep into the thought. And some people are not even, they don't welcome that idea for themselves at all, even though that's such a healing place. Healing is not cute. Healing is not comfortable.
No.
So it's very much letting the paint be where it's at. And like I said, it's not always something that you want to go to every day. It's something that's like, let that breathe. You have to kind of I had to do one at a time. I really had to go one at a time. And yeah, that's what took so long, but I see what it's worth. And I know, and people are like, I want this one. You can have a copy, because this original is never going anywhere but with me. This one's for me. So yeah.
Yeah, you said something there you expressed something there that we often ask our guests, as far as, and people probably have asked you that, but we often ask them, so like, what would you where you are now, what would you tell your younger self? Or what advice would you give your younger self? And you just basically said, you paint your younger self. Yeah.
I wrote that as well.
Yeah.
And even what I would say too, it's, you want to correct. People also often think that they have to go back and perfect what that was. No, as you deal with this, don't be so hard on yourself. As you go through this is not the end point. Like, it gets better than just this moment. And as you go through it, reflect on you. How did you contribute to this? Did you welcome this? Did you not welcome this? Were you too kind? Were you too shut off? Like, what was it? And it really is all the turmoil or bad connections that we've had with people are reflections of self. And until we can own that, no matter how much you might have been right, no matter how much you might have had I'm right in this situation.
Come on.
Yeah, you might be right in the situation, but the neck roll was unnecessary. Okay. It's like your sauce is not necessary. You really need to just focus on what's the lesson that I get from this? How can I extend it to the next person so they don't have to go through what I went through? And be honest. I tried to, what is it? Basically, not honoring my feelings. I would kind of, like you said, detaching. And I thought that mastering my emotions, oh, that's going to piss me off. Nope, you're not going to get mad. You're not going to get mad. You're going to be happy about it. But we're not. Why am I not? That's what makes me me. But you're okay. But you don't have to like it. And just because you don't like it doesn't mean that you can't move forward. Doesn't mean that you have to stay here. Whatever your purpose is, it can't be knocked off its course just because somebody said something you didn't like, or somebody did something you didn't like, or somebody misunderstood you for who you are. Regardless of that, keep going. That's my advice to my younger self.
To your younger self.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Two things for sure. The first thing is, if I could tell my younger self, it would definitely be to respect each person with a sense of individuality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every person is a person.
Mm.
Whether the relationship, whether girlfriend, boyfriend, mom, dad, sister, brother, every person is a person, and you need to respect that. If you can learn to respect each person as an individual person, you'll be less disappointed.
Okay.
In like most cases.
Mm-hmm.
I think growing up, I put a lot of trust into people, family members, friends, and things like that, and you get hurt so much, man. Like, you get cut deep depending on who the person is. It may be a parent, it may be anybody. And it wasn't until I was like a full-grown adult where I'm like, you know, I started respecting people and understanding that, you know, people make mistakes. Before I met you, you was a whole nother person. So now that we're dealing with each other, I put these expectations on other human beings to do things that I want them to do.
Expectations.
Instead of telling myself, you know, this is a whole human being. This human being had a whole life before they met me, a whole other thing going on. Even my mom. You know, my mom gonna make mistakes. So respect individuality for me, for sure. And the second thing would be every loss is a lesson.
Every loss is a lesson.
Every loss is a lesson. I think if I could have grasped onto that, like in my early days, there's no telling where I really would be right now, because losses used to beat me up tremendously. I used to think it was the end of the world when I took a loss, instead of looking for the lesson within those losses.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
those two for me.
Wow.
We're lucky as artists to be able to have an expression. I feel so bad for people who do not have an outlet, who don't have or don't understand what that could even be. If you like to do math, that could be your outlet. Like, it's just recognizing like what it does for you or what it could be, and you have to pass the knowledge on. You can't keep it to yourself.
You almost feel like a therapist in a sense.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I tell my, like, me and my guys have conversations all the time. Like, bro, like, in a sense, we're our own like therapists. Like, your friends come to you for reasons.
Yep.
Like, you go to people you trust for a reason. I feel like I have a good friend, and she told me years ago, like, dude, like, I think you're like a healer, because there's people that come to you for advice. You know, that's huge. For somebody to bring you their personal problems, and who's looking to like either decipher them or just somebody to listen to. Like, the fact that somebody trusts you with the things that they're going through in their life, like, and looking for like a like, in a sense, some type of healing.
Yeah.
That's huge, and I didn't grasp onto that.
We don't understand that. Like, we sometimes we
think
don't.
of that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, dang.
I used to be
know.
almost have like a about it. People were like, "You have such a light about you." I'm like, I know, you know, like I don't know, because people would say it so much, but I didn't understand, and I was always put in dark places, but I was the light in the dark places, and I didn't get it. And then, you know, when people started to notice that the darkness kind of like was coming and dimming me a little, they were like, "No, get out, go, like get out of here," like as if I wasn't welcome, but to be able to express and people see what I may be feeling or that they can relate to as well, there's something about like, so you understand.
Right.
And so they are more open. People tell me, listen, between me being a body artist and people being in full nude, they're just like, well, but let me just bear it all, you know, and being a hairstylist and like, you know, when you have time, you're sitting with people. And I don't care to be on my phone all the time. I'm not one of those people. I like to be, if I'm with you, I'm interacting with you, and we're sharing, you know, time. And that right now is, you know, like you can't, it's hard to find. But when you allow people a safe place to be able to express themselves and to be comfortable to share, you learn so much just in talking. I've told people just my own stories that they found things that they related to, and they're like, I didn't even look at it that way. I didn't even think of it that way. And now they're like, you don't even realize like how you just opened my whole like everything, and now I get it, and now I can go back to the situation, correct my action or my behavior, or see at least how I could have contributed to my own unhappiness. And then it's like, you know, we just have to take accountability. Accountability. Wait, listen, that is like the word of the year for me. Like, a lot of it, I was looking to hold other people accountable. When you're like, yeah, accountability, it applies to you too.
Of course it does.
You know? And it was more of like, oh, so okay, so I'm trying to show other people, but I have to see it in self first. And then once I see it in self, I can recognize it in other people, which gives me room to point it out like, yo, I used to do such and such. Try it this way. Maybe, you know, maybe look at it like this. And it takes off that, you know, that defense that people try and put up, like, I'm not, like, yeah, you are, but, you know, it's cool. Like, you know, you don't have to see it now, but just know when you finally do see it, just remember this conversation.
That's it.
That's all.
Wow. Man, Facebook, listen. There's no way y'all cannot be enjoying this and getting this. Man, they're kicking some knowledge up here and some inspiration that you would not believe. And we're so thankful for them being here and sharing with us. Chris, right now, can we just look at some art real quick? Can we look at some art, production team? I know you've been showing it, but can we look at it and can he just like tell us, you know, about it? Can we just, as far as, can we do that? I mean, can't we? I mean, I appreciate it. Can we get him? He can walk over there and we can catch him on that. As far as that, he can. Thank you. That's so nice, Chris. I mean, we got two of your paintings there. Can you just go and just yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just tell us about it. I mean, tell us about what you got going on over here.
I'll start with this one first. This one is called A Person of Color, obviously. Quote unquote royalty. And the backstory with this one is being in this space, and a trait that I've been in tune with since I was a younger child was I'm always like heavily observant of my surroundings.
Okay.
Like when you go into a grocery store or something, or I'm one of those people when I go into certain places, I always feel like the elephant in the room. I
Okay.
can always tell when people staring at me, or just when it's all eyes on me. And depending on the space that I'm in, it can feel uncomfortable at times. And it was this one specific moment where I went to a Publix, I think, in a greater location of Tampa, greater area of Tampa. And I was like the only colored person in the store or something. It felt like I was the only colored person in the store. And every aisle that I would go to, people would just like look and like look, and I'm like, is this something on my face? Like,
Okay.
Is this something going on? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. It just inspired me to create this piece that portrays this being with things on its face, a bunch of different colors or something to make people want to stare at it. But I also wanted to put something in the piece as well to portray like a sort of uplifting aspect for the character. So that's why this character is dressed in like roses and things like that. So that's why you got the royalty aspect in like the clothing, and you got the colors on the face for people to look and stare. So in a sense, I wanted to give people a reason to look and stare at this being or this person or this character, but also show the royalty aspect of it, because in my mind, things like roses or certain flowers or things like that, they are a representation of like purity, high royalty and things like that. And I don't think I spoke about it earlier, but I'm heavy on signs and symbolisms and shapes and things like that. So this is another sign or symbol that I used in this painting, and I have a few other paintings that I use these same symbols in. They're usually just for the viewer to pretty much focus on the dead center of the painting.
Okay.
To like, and this one specifically is over the nose because when I was a child, I have a family member. My uncle used to joke at my mom's nose. It was a stereotypical thing about how African Americans have big noses.
Okay.
And it's just something that I grew up always, it just always replayed in my mind and things like that. So I do this a lot, and a few of my paintings, I put these signs, these symbols over the nose area, so the person can focus on that area. And a lot of people that see this painting, they look at this shape and like, man, I love that. Or that looks good. But it's supposed to be, in being a human, we're expecting to see a nose. We're not expecting to see a shape. So I don't know, it's just something that goes on in my mind. Like I wanted to put something right there instead of a big fat nose.
Okay.
Thinking about my mom and stuff. And this piece right here was that I got from Vitruvian Man, the Leonardo da Vinci piece. And again, I used these symbols, which are called icosahedrons. And these symbols right here, for me, when I did some reading up on them, and it has to do with a lot of like sacred geometry and things like that. So when I use these pieces in my work, they're pretty much just a representation of like positive and pure energy and things like that. So in this piece specifically, I wanted to have the shapes like go around and sit on the head and show that this being or this person is, you know, walking around or thinking in a positive state or a productive mindset and things like that. So that's pretty much what this painting is a representation for. A nod to Leonardo da Vinci, the Vitruvian Man, the anatomy, and also the symbolism stuff.
Okay.
So that's the best that I can explain. It's a deeper.
Of course it is.
Deeper, man, but,
Of course
when
it
I'm
is.
speaking about it aloud, that's it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So the colors, as far as in that, I mean, is that just what you felt would work, or is this just the colors that came in your mind to just put on the canvas? I mean,
I'm real specific in 99% of my work. I do a ton of like reading on what colors spark different emotions and things like
okay.
that. So a lot of that is also in these paintings as well. You know how the reds make you more triggered, and the yellows do something to you, the blues and the greens do something to you too. So a lot of these colors in this piece are specific, and they're all pretty much just wrapped around emotion for the viewer at the moment, whoever decides to sit and look at it. For me, I would hope to give off a sense of like emotion, and hope that the viewer feels something while looking at these paints, not just from the things that's going on inside, but the colors as well. So that's why I always use the pop colors or colors that spark different emotions and things like that.
Okay. Now about your partner there. I'm just when looking at it, and it's interesting how you described it. It looks like, and it's just me, it looks like a mask. Like he's wearing a mask. And it's just interesting to me, but the mask is torn. I'm just saying, it's as far as how I'm looking at it on the, because you saying, and the only reason I'm looking at it like that is because when you were just talking about you were in the store and you felt like you were the only colored person in there. You felt like it, whether you knew it or not, but you felt like it. So now that took my mind to looking at this painting and saying, okay, I see like your tone in there. You know what I'm saying? I see your tone, your skin tone. And it's like, I saying like that mask is like torn on that part and the rest of that is just a mask that got all these other different colors on. It's just interesting. I mean, how when you described that and now my mind went to, okay, well, that's him.
That was very intentional as well to leave this colorless.
Okay.
And that's why I call this painting a person of color.
Okay.
Because it leaves the person to think, okay, is it a person of actual
Which,
color or
right,
is it a person of color that got something going on?
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like it's however you want to take it.
Gotcha.
And that's why I say conversation piece.
Yeah, man, that's definitely
You
wow.
can go so many different places with it.
Wow. Wow. Okay, cool. All right. You come sit back down, man. That was awesome. That was awesome. I mean, I love y'all's minds, man. Gosh. Gee whiz. We probably talk about a whole lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah, we do this all night.
Yes, definitely. While the production team gets your art together.
Yes.
Questions. Let me ask you this as far as in this light. As far as when you is there, I know you say you have a favorite piece. I know you said your favorite piece was
The grandmother.
The grandmother.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. You said that. Did you give me a
My favorite piece is the one that I just finished.
the one you just finished?
It always
You're only as
The
good
one
as
you
That's
just
your latest
finished.
piece.
Okay.
You're only as good as my
True.
latest piece.
That's true.
Okay. I artist or whatever, and I'm gonna tell you how I got into this artist. And it's interesting because I was on a cruise ship. You know, they have, they always have art shows on the cruise ships and things of that nature. and I always go to them because I always end up buying something. I cruise a lot. We used to before the COVID thing. Cruise a whole lot. You know, I've bought a lot of art off of cruises. And one of my ones that I fell in love with and is Kincaid, Thomas Kincaid. And you know, he's supposed to be the painter of light. And like all of his paintings have, his signature is light in the paintings. I mean, whether it be in the houses, whether it be on the brooks or the creeks that he's painting, in the windows, whatever the case may be, but it's like they glow. Do y'all have a certain significance or a signature, should I say, as far as that we can recognize? Hey, that's a pretty dope, or that's a Chris Jones. I mean, do y'all have a signature that if I'm somewhere, like if I'm on a cruise ship, I say, hey, I know that.
Honestly, for me, my thing was like glitter.
Okay.
I love reflection and glitter and things like that because people always say leave a trail of glitter wherever you go because, you know, and that for me, that was really how I leave my trail of glitter.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
For me, it'll definitely be the sacred geometry.
Okay.
You see those shapes, whether it's a 3D triangle or icosahedron or octagon or something.
I'm going to have to look that up. That is wild,
yeah,
these words.
That's sacred geometry is very, it's some interesting stuff. And I've taken it on, and I always try to leave a trace of that in the pieces that I work on, so when people do see my work in the near future, like, oh, that's a Chris Jones.
Yeah.
I know that piece.
That's
So
what I'm talking about.
that's the symbolism overall.
Yes.
Using those shapes and symbols and things, that's me, and I have a personal connection with that stuff as well. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So when I'm out and I'm shopping, and I'm on a cruise ship somewhere or whatever, because I mean speak those things. Oh, hey, and wait a minute. Okay, we got our next up. We've got. Hey, I know that painting. I know that artist. I recognize the symbolism with all of that. So that's why I was just asking, because I mean I can look at a painting. That's a Kincaid right there. I mean it's plain as day. So it's like, you know. So that's why I was just asking. So that's pretty cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. This is that we got your
Yes.
our studio within your mini studio here set up, so you can just. As she goes over, pretty dope, goes over to tell us what she's got going on over here.
Okay, so I will start over here. So I have this one here. This is Oshun.
Bring, I can't see her in that cut there. Yeah, bring her out a little.
So Oshun, she is a goddess from the Yoruba tribe. I was just learning about different cultures, and she stuck out the most to me after Beyonce did Lemonade.
Okay.
And the yellow that she's wearing, she is channeling Oshun, who she is the goddess of fertility, of love and sweet waters, and just she's a very powerful goddess.
Okay.
So yeah, I just wanted to put my take on her and dress her up real cute, put little adornments and stuff on her. Gold was her color, yellow. Honey, she had like a honey pot on her hip. She would dance, and that's how she would lure people to her. Her energy just very, she very happy. So she was sweet with her. Honey, people put the sexual innuendo of the honey pot and, put it together, and that comes from her. But yes, she was very sexy, very goddess, and this is Oshun.
Oshun. All right.
So then we also have, this was the one I was referring to about my grandmother.
All right.
So she's obviously holding a baby on her hip, cooking dinner. She's making something amazing over here with the Old Bay and the Lowrys. And this kitchen is very reminiscent of what my grandmother's kitchen was like. And then it's made with love. She had a pie and some coffee going. Like she just had it all done, and I feel like this was something that I wanted to capture. This feels like a time capsule, honestly, because grandmas now are like 30. But yeah, like I really wanted to capture the essence of her, and I think that's what this represents for me. And then this one here. So this is one of my The More You Look, The More You Find. I have a few pieces like this, but this one in particular focuses on the injustice of Black America. And this is a mother crying. In her eye is her baby boy. Her tears flow into my baby. She's crying out for him. This is a broom sweeping the hashtag of endless killings, of unjust murders in America. This was done back in 2017 or 18, I believe. So this was around Trump era. And so MAGA was a thing, of course. And we have the police officer and the judge who's holding the American flag, sweeping it all under the rug of America.
Wow.
So this was my political stance about that. I'm from California, and Tupac is definitely my favorite rapper. And Dead or Alive, it's just he is. And this scene is actually from Poetic Justice. This was my second painting I ever painted.
Wow.
And one of my favorite songs is, what is this? What song is this? Even when the road is hard, never give up. We don't cry. Don't cry. So, is this one.
Well, my favorite one is Troublesome, so I don't know.
So funny. And then this was my most recent. This is the one of me mothering myself. All of them are me. I actually cut my hair, so my hair is actually this short now. But on the lap, this is 3-year-old me. This is 8-year-old me, 10 to 12, and 18. I identify with sexual assault, domestic violence, and just assault, period. And all of these were times in my life that I needed to be mothered or to be loved and kind of helped through these moments. But at these times, I also didn't use my voice. I was silenced. So all of their throats are like covered with their head down. Because they weren't able to speak up. They were afraid to speak up. So my neck here is exposed because now I'm using my voice to speak up.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's me holding them all, mothering them all, and, yeah, that's where
Wow. All right.
Yes.
Awesome. And I see the glitter.
Yes. The glitter is in all of them, or there's a jewel, like Tupac's nose ring.
Yeah.
There's no glitter on this one, but
Not
yeah.
that, yeah, but okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
That's me.
Cool beans. Facebook, we hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope the production team is putting up contact information, that we put up contact information. How can we, get in touch with you guys, or how can they get in touch with you guys as far as purchase paintings, or get with you as far as doing the piece for them, things of that nature? How can we get in touch with?
A few places. Instagram. My Instagram is Chris_Jones Jr. Art. My website is chrisjonesjr.com. My email is jonesjrart@gmail.com. So thank God I have a simple name that I can use in places. There's no way you should be able to forget Chris Jones Jr. And that's about it. I mean, my email, Instagram, and website. You can reach me
Okay.
at any one of those places.
All right.
Yes, and for myself, you can find me on Instagram, at Pretty Dope Artistry. You can find me on Facebook at Pretty Dope Artistry, and also email at prettydopeart@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Both of those are easy enough, but our production team is definitely posting that so we can make sure that you guys can reach out to Pretty Dope and to Chris Jones Jr. I want to make sure I put that in there because he said it so very, yeah. to reach out to these guys, man. You guys, you would love it, and I hope you've gotten at least a glimpse of their art and their heart. I just call it their art and their heart. Basically, I mean, because to me it goes beyond their talents. This is, they're pouring their heart and soul into these canvases. So I want you guys to pretty much go and check them out, visit their social media pages, their websites. You can hit them up in the email. They've given you your email, and we're posting it now, so you can get in touch with them. Before we go, any last things that you guys wanted to share with the public concerning just art itself, concerning art and life, or just anything that you would like to share with them as take us out?
My thing, I always try to tell parents when I get a chance to, if you recognize that your child or children or whoever, any child, has any type of artistic abilities or anything, please put them in places where they can let go and open up and really tap into that. Because one thing that I always say as an adult now, God knows where I would be if I had somebody around me when I first tapped into my artistic side. There's no telling where I would be right now in life. So I always tell people, man, if you have an artistic child or anything, really tap into that and put them in places where they can excel, because we're changing the world. Especially right now, black art it's the place to be right now. Especially if you got something, and if you got an art bone in your body, if you ain't putting it out right now, I feel like you're hindering yourself, you're hindering us as a culture, as a people, because we're changing the game right now, and it's getting big. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Awesome. Diedrich, my nephew, you listening? You listening? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, honestly, even if you feel like nobody's rocking with what you're doing, keep doing it. There's somebody who needs what you do, and they're not going to get what they need because you aren't willing to do what you have to do. So just keep going, keep pushing. Thank you so much to the Soul Cafe for this opportunity. And for anyone who's given us the opportunity to be on their platform, to share our art, to express ourselves. And, definitely just keep pushing, even through this pandemic, through Artist Block. Have intention, keep it pure. And I promise you will make it wherever you're trying to go or wherever you're destined to be. So.
Awesome. Pretty dope. Chris Jones, we thank each of you for being here on Conversations with Shelly. You stuck it out through all the rough terrain in the beginning and all of the technical difficulties.
This be a testament.
It's just been an awesome show. I knew it would be. I had no doubt it would be through all of the obstacles. And I always tell people opposition is not an excuse for failure. So you've got to understand, you push through it. Facebook, YouTube, we love you here on Conversations with Shelly, and you can join us each Sunday at 5 p.m., YouTube, Facebook Live, on those platforms. We thank you all so much. I'm sure Shelly's out there, and I'm sure she's pleased. She told us to record the show, but no, we're going to just go ahead and go live, so I'll take that. If you yell at me, you yell at me. That's my sister, so it don't matter to me anyway. So, but anyway, we thank.
Hi, Shelly.
We thank. Exactly. We thank Chris. We thank Pretty Dope for being here and displaying their some of their pieces, giving us a piece of them as far as their hearts and their minds and how they go into their creativity and creating their pieces and just basically living life. And we just thank them and all of the other things that they're involved in. Check it out as well when you hit them up, when you hit up their websites and their social media platforms, because if you read their bio, they're involved in so many things. Excuse me, so many things. And I believe it's just the art in them. Yes. I mean, it just can't be just isolated, I guess, to one thing. And when you artsy like that, I creative like that, because like I said, I write, I do all of that stuff, and it's just not limited to just one thing. So I wish I could draw something. I used to draw. Man, I wish. All the stuff be floating around in my head, man. Look at here. Man, man. Let me ask you this question before we go. We're getting ready to go. Because I know a lot of people and I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you this early because I've looked at some pieces, some paintings, and I I just didn't understand why they were worth as much as they're worth.
Here's a song.
What's the song? So, I mean, I'm just saying because I guess
It costs
I'm
that
just
much.
asking artists that have that mind that you look at and you say, you know what? Yeah, that's why. That's
Yeah.
why. I don't. Some I look at, I don't get. I don't get why they're. I
The
mean,
ones that do confuse me is when they just kind of throw like a little bit of paint. It's like, oh,
right? I don't.
yes, and it's like, I don't know what that was supposed to do or why that's $3 million, but
Right.
that's fine. Because this took time, and I don't know. I think that for at least for myself, yeah, it's my time. It's just the dedication to it. Of course, the product and the materials and whatnot. And then you tax. I don't know. It really just comes down. That's a really hard thing as an artist is to know what to charge. But honestly, as long as you don't feel like you're cheating yourself, and that you're definitely not cheating your clientele. I mean, as long as there's respect in the price, give yourself like some room,
Okay.
and then if somebody like hits you nowhere near it, you're like. You kind of like give them like a what? Like, nah, I'm not even gonna hear you about this one.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's resume and who's owned the work prior.
Okay.
Based on the stuff that I've researched, because I be looking into that stuff. Cause I'm trying to figure out how can I make a piece that's worth $5 million,
Right.
$10 million, and what I always come up with is who's owned the painting and your resume. So I'm huge on building my resume and doing a lot of work and moving around and getting into certain shows because that's what this industry is primarily about. Where your work has been, who's bought your work. It's a lot of politics in this art industry.
Right,
So I'm learning that. So that's why when you see those abstract paintings where people throwing paint at the canvas,
And their
people have
confidence.
done shows all across the globe, and they've mixed and mingled with different people, and their art is found in different homes and things like that. So I think that's the thing. Where are you pushing your art to? Where's your art at? Who has it? And I think that's what ultimately determines what it will sell for. Because can't nobody put a price on your work, but
And your confidence also
right.
with it. You can't tell somebody 3,000.
Yeah, you
I'm be like,
explain that.
are you sure? It's like, no, it's 3,000.
Exactly.
Yep. It really is that. I think that learning the business of art,
Okay.
man,
Yeah.
like that's the part that's just like, wow.
Okay.
That is something definitely artists need to be aware of. Even if you're doing it as a hobby at first, just learn your craft. Learn what goes into it. Learn whatever people around you are doing, don't worry about what they're doing. Just be aware of, okay, that sold for, okay, I'm going to look over here, okay, bet. And just be aware.
Okay.
Don't be trying to be like, okay, well, they did this, so I'm going to do it. No, it's like, just be aware. And next time you go, you have the confidence in your voice to say what it is, and then you stand by it. Yeah, absolutely. I did sell it. Sell yourself. Okay. People want you in their space. So sell you, they'll buy it. You know what I'm saying? So, like this pencil got me through the hardest times of my life. And people are like, I want that pencil. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's really what you put into it and what it did for you. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Man, this has been an awesome show. Again, we thank Pretty Dope. We thank Chris, Facebook. We thank you for joining us this day. Again, tune in every Sunday, 5 p.m. for Conversations with Shelly. Conversations with Shelly. And as Shelly would always say, we love you, but God loves you best. Go ahead and take us out, production team. Take care. We'll see you guys later.